and sitting on the stairs, and I said, I'm an identity coach. And like, have you ever said something and then you realize you said something and then you can't take it back and it's out there in the atmosphere and you're looking all crazy? Well, that's what happened. And so I felt like I had an out of body experience when I said that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Conversations with Shareka. I am your host, Shareka Swaby, and I am also known as the Mind Reset Strategist. So today's guest is a phenomenal woman. She is known as the Identity Architect. She's a 10 times published author. She has made the Amazon bestseller list. She's the CEO of her own publishing company called VOS Consulting and Publishing International, and she's currently the COO of InflueNCHER Magainze.
There you are.
Hey!
Hi! How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm great. Loving the hairstyle and the earring as always.
Thank you. I work on keeping myself together.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, you're a little bit low. Can you check on that for me?
Yes. Hold on.
Okay, better. That's better.
That's better?
Yeah.
All my peoples are dropping in. Hey, y'all. Hey.
That's awesome. Great. All right, the wonderful Miss Toccara Nicole. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, please.
Absolutely. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? I am Toccara Nicole, aka the Identity Architect, as I serve Gen Zs along with Millennial and Generation X women to live, unlock, and rediscover that. You can't hear me?
I can hear you, just a little bit low.
Okay, let me find my headphones.
Oh.
I can never find my headphones. I'm not a techie, not yet. When it comes to the pods, let's see here. So I can start over. Can you hear me? Is that better?
It's about the same.
Ooh-wee.
Don't know
right.
where the headsets are. Okay,
I do not know where the headset is, so y'all go ahead and tour up my house. Let me try to find one. Okay. I am the Identity Architect as I serve Gen Zs along with Millennial X women to live, unlock, and rediscover their purpose, tap into their vault so they too can thrive in life. I'm also the proud founder of Boss Consulting and Publishing International, where I help my clients monetize their genius by shifting their ship, whether they come in as published authors for the first time or the fifth time, helping them to understand who they are and to obtain authorship along with entrepreneurship. So that's a little bit about me. Here recently I became the COO of InfluencHER Magainze. Super excited about that and being able to help people to get their stories published in a magazine. And I interview celebrities. I've interviewed the one and only Angie Stone, which was super amazing. So being able to really connect with celebrities and help them to like really understand how we need them. We need to hear their voice. We need to hear their story. We need to hear their journey and how it's inspirational for us as regular folk. And really just being able to help other women to say, you know what, this person's doing it. They started something similar to how I started. And so it's an amazing journey. And so that's a little bit about me.
Sounds like you're doing a lot of things, and I know there's tons more that you haven't mentioned. So hats off to you for doing it and showing other ladies how it should be done and how it can be done. So, you know, I have high praises for you all the time. I love what you do. So congratulations with that, and more power to you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this evening I wanted us to talk about identity and money. But before we talk about that, first thing I want to know is, how did you come by the name the Identity Architect?
Listen, 2018 was the year I started to shift my circle, and shifting my circle allowed me to meet this amazing mentor of mine who challenged the heck out of me. And when I said it was time for me to be a life coach, she's like, well, what type of life coach do you want to be? And so I remember we were on the phone and I was sitting in my friend's stairwell and sitting on the stairs. And I said, I'm an identity coach. And like, have you ever said something and then you realize you said something and then you can't take it back and it's out there in the atmosphere and you're looking all crazy? Well, that's what happened. And so I felt like I had an out-of-body experience when I said that. But what I realized was that God is very intentional in all that he does. And so he showed me in 2018 I was the identity coach, and in 2020 he showed me how I was the identity architect. So everything that God does, he does with intention, and sometimes it doesn't feel like intention, we just feel tension. Catch that. And so what it was that he literally walked me through elements of my life that have showed me the capabilities of me being a builder. And so even from when I was a little girl, I asked a lot of questions. I love putting stuff together without instructions. Yeah, my family would be like, hey, we need to learn how to do this. Put this together. And I would do it without reading the instructions. And so God took me back to that, took me to also, you know, when I used to work for a student housing development company, learning what it takes to build buildings. So he literally just took me back through, I had to do this, I had to do this, you're gifted to do this. And so I put the two together and called myself the identity architect as I help people to build, whether it's building a business, building a book, building a brand, building themselves. That's my gift. And finally owning it. It's one thing to acknowledge it. It's another thing to take the pretty bow off and grab what's inside of the box and possess the gift. It's a whole different language.
Awesome. So one more thing I want to ask before we dive into the topic. So anyone who knows you for saying the term dope. About that. Tell us about that.
I do say that word a lot.
Yes, you
and
do.
It's funny. I said it long before it had meaning. So dope is an expression, or it's even a movement. It's something that we do effortlessly and sometimes really don't realize it. So dope stands for directed on purpose every day. Have you ever got that shower idea and you have to hurry up and like write it down? Well, that's where dope came from. You know, God showed me that I use this word all the time. He's like, well, let me show you it in a different way. So not only is it my brand, because I do have an apparel line, but it definitely is an expression, and I talk about it all the time, and I've really started branding it as well. And so really understanding that we have to be directed on purpose, not some days, but every day, in order to live that life that God has created for us to live, which is just an amazing, precious gift. But sometimes we don't know how to embrace it. And so that's when you have to get around the right people and, you know, step into that personal development journey that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to, you know, but it's worth it all to really understand your identity and your purpose in the earth. So it's a little bit about dope. You are so funny, by the way.
Okay, so people, you heard it. Dope. Directed on purpose every day. Live your life dope. I love to hear when you say that, Toccara. Anyways, okay, so, all right, so we want to talk about your identity and your money. And the first thing I want to ask you is, was there ever a point in your life when you felt like you were not in alignment with the amount of income that you want to come to you?
Woo-wee! How long we got? How long is the show?
It's about 45 minutes to an hour. So
Okay. We got enough time then. Okay. So, like I said, God is very intentional with what he does, and sometimes we don't understand how intentional he is until later on in life, right? Mm-hmm. Go down the road a little bit. So for me, it was 2012, the year I turned 30. And a lot of things happened that year.
Right.
But the one thing that also happened was the Lord took my income away. So I was making over $70,000 a year, and he took it to me making $22,000 a year. And I stayed in that place for 3 years. And I was really like, what? You know, now that I look back, like, how in the heck did I make it? But during that time, God was developing me, and he was also teaching me the difference between a need and a want. Because I grew up where my mom, she worked really hard. She was a single parent. And so I got a lot of things that I wanted. So God's like, I want you to understand and be able to teach people later on in life the difference between a want and a need. So I'm going to take you down to this level right here. And it's a twofold story, because as an entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneurship, especially as you're building and scaling your business, you don't know how much you're going to make. You need to be able to learn how to survive and still be happy as you're building. And so now that I'm in 2 years of full-time entrepreneurship, that life lesson years ago now resurfaced in a whole new way. Kind of like you read a Bible scripture and you're like, yeah, this is good, I got it. But then you go back when you are at a different season of your life and you read that scripture again and it has a whole new meaning. Yeah, that right there. And so I understand when you answer that call to full-time entrepreneurship, because it's not easy. You know, I worked for an amazing opportunity for 7 years, and you know, I got paid consistently. So when you have to go and trust your gifts as you're building that flow for entrepreneurship, God took me back to, now, do you remember when I had you at this place? Do you understand how this life lesson now applies here? It's different, but the application is still the same. I got it. You know, I'm thankful that I'm spoiled. My mom spoils me. I'm her only child. Even getting ready to turn 40, still spoiled. Not rotten though. She just, her love language is gifts, and I fully accept her love language, you know. So, you know, but I'm well supported by people who love me, you know. And so when you are operating in your gift, your perception on money changes. You accept daily bread in a whole new way, because you realize that as long as you have what you need, the rest is going to come. And it has. If I could share, since I've been in full-time entrepreneurship, I quadrupled the money that I made when I first started, when I was working my full-time job. So, and it's blowing my mind. So from 2019 to now, I've quadrupled the amount that I've made just by being more consistent at, you know, getting what it is out of me to really operate on purpose. So yeah, I understand the money thing, but you have to understand who you are to be able to accept the waves and the flow of money, because money is currency. It's a flow. So you get it, and it goes out. You get it and it comes out. So don't be stuck. And I ain't got. Well, baby, when it comes in, it's going to go right back out anyways.
Okay, so now talk to us about understanding who you are, and so that you can understand how the money flows. Talk to us about that in terms of your identity and your gift.
Yeah.
And showing up for that gift even when it doesn't seem like it's going to bring you any income. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So there was times where I wanted to give up on the gift. I'm like, there's no way that this gift is going to make me this. There's no way, you know, especially when you get into swerving into other people's lanes instead of staying true to building yours. Even when you have the under construction sign up and you're still building, it's okay. You know, it's okay. So understand your gift and do what you need to do to build upon your gift. That's what I would say to people. Yeah, you might throw the offer out there and no one bites, but are you going to stop? No, you can't. You figure out ways to, okay, let me spice up the offer and throw it out here this way. Or maybe I'm launching in the wrong pond of people. So that's one of the things that I've learned. And then I've also learned, hey, why don't you go and ask other people who are doing the same things that you're doing, what's working for them? See, a lot of times we don't want to do that because it seems like we need help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, especially as an entrepreneur. That's how you grow. That's how you're stretched. That's how you're able to build, by looking and getting that help. That's called collaboration. And so looking at it from that perspective. But one of the things that I would say that worked for me was that I had to move out of my own way, and I'm still moving out of my own way as I grow. And so understanding that this is my lane and I have to own it. And it can hurt owning your lane because it's uncomfortable at first, because you've been operating outside of purpose sometimes. And when I say that is, yeah, I was at an amazing 9-to-5 where I was tapping into my purpose this much, but now that that's completely gone, now it's just fully me tapping into my purpose all the time, because I'm the driver of the ship that he's managing, so it's a different type of flow. Does that make sense? Hopefully I answered that. I see so many people that I just want to love and hug on. Hey, yo, what's up?
Okay, so all right, so how does one even begin to understand what their gift is and how to live on purpose? How does one even begin to understand that?
Listen, how much time? No, I was kidding. That's a loaded question, but I will share with you what worked for me. Do you ever get in a place where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired? I got tired of doing the same old things, yielding the same results. I got to the place where I'm like, oh my God, there has to be more. There has to be more. So for me, it was, what am I good at? What am I naturally good at? And that I love to do, that I could give it away for free because I love it that much. What are those things that wake me up without the alarm clock? And we hear this often and we think it's a cliche, but it's not. I have 2 alarm clocks that go off in my house, one at 5 and one at 6. Do you know I'm up at 4:30? I'm up. My body is like, it's time to get up. It's time to go. So, because I love what I'm doing. I'm not reporting to a 9-to-5 that was draining. I don't get drained per se. I'm in my flow. So one of the things that I had to do was say, what do I like? What do I love? What don't I like? What am I giving time to that I don't like and it's not yielding any results? And then ask myself, why am I staying in that place that I don't like it? It's yielding no results, but it's bringing me money. So a lot of times we stay in places for financial comfort, because even though I don't like it, I don't like the people, I'm not using my gift, but I can guarantee on the 1st and 15th of the month, I get $3,495.88, But at the end of the day, you're not operating on purpose because your energy does not match your purpose if you can't stand to be there in the first place. So really doing that hard digging. And the other thing that I had to do was look at my family structure. Look to see what was already in the family that I wasn't tapping into. So my great grandma was a bootlegger. I had no clue what a bootlegger was until way after she was gone. So she lived in Birmingham, Alabama, down in the South. And I live in Chicago. And so when we would get there, there'd be some weird people in our house, people drinking liquor, kids in and out the house, buying pickles, buying candy bags, buying Oreo cookies. I had no clue what a bootlegger was. I just thought my grandma was that person that everybody wanted to be around, which she was. But no, that was her business. So entrepreneurship has been in my family for longer than I realized, because I didn't see my great grandma as a businesswoman because I didn't understand that. Fast forward, one of my friends was like, entrepreneurship has been in your family for years. Remember when you told me the story about your grandma? She was a bootlegger. And I was like, oh my God. So I share that because a lot of what we're supposed to be doing or called to do is already in our bloodline. It's already in our lineage. So sometimes we just don't know until we start doing that research. So for those who don't know me, I am my mother's only child, but I'm the fourth out of 22. Yes, go ahead and drop your mouths. 22, 2 on my dad's side. And so what happened was I started to do research to understand my dad's side of the family because I grew up without him in my life. So as I started unraveling some of the things that he did, and then understanding, his family members, like my great grandma and his, all that going back down through history, and then looking at what I knew from my family, things started to make sense. This is why I love this. This is why I enjoy this. This is why it's in the family. So sometimes we don't know enough about our family lineage to even embrace why are we passionate about this. So find passion in what you're doing, and your passion will keep you ignited, and your vision will be very plain as day eventually once you are operating in purpose. It just comes like that. Some people are like, yeah, whatever. No, seriously. When you really start operating in who you are, the scales start falling off of your eyes, and you see things differently than you ever seen them before because you're owning who you are. And so for me, I'm in the place where I was joking around with my mom one day. I said, I'm going to go to Maury and find out more about my siblings. And she was like, don't you dare put my business out there like that. But I said, it's not your business. It's my business too. I want to know, what's going on with my siblings that I don't know, because sometimes I'm like, well, am I missing out on something? Because is there something that I miss within the family bloodline that somebody else is doing to kind of further understand why I move the way that I do? Hopefully that makes sense.
It does. It does make a whole lot of sense. But you said something, and you did say it. You said people think that it's cliche when you say that. What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about? Right? And I get it too. You can't do this because it's not making money. You need to make money. So for the people who need to make money, right? And we know we have bills to pay. But the people who need to make money and the passion, it takes time to build the passion, right? It takes time to lay the foundation properly. It takes time to get yourself out there, especially in an internet world. It takes time to get known, right? So for the people who are afraid to step into that purpose and to step into that identity place, because they're thinking, if I do this, how am I going to pay my bills? If I do this, people are going to laugh at me. If I do this, I won't have any support. If I do this, and the list of things that comes up when one wants to embark on a complete change of who they are, and people call them crazy. Like my mom said, I don't know what is wrong with you.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people who are at that crossroad?
Sure. So I didn't launch into full-time entrepreneurship by choice. I was led by God. So timing is everything. And so I would say start working the business. And I don't like saying a side hustle, but start working your passion in addition to what you're already doing. Start building in that capacity. And so whether it's, let's say someone who likes to make t-shirts, right? Buy the equipment, invest in yourself. A lot of people are so scared to invest in themselves. Buy the Cricut or the Silhouette machine. Buy the 7-in-1, that does the mugs and the heat press and blah, 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 da, 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 da. Buy the vinyl. Buy whatever it is that you need, because you have this whole stream of income coming in that can further your additional money stream while you're still working your full time. So helping people to understand, don't just quit. Use that money that's coming in as seed money to help you to do whatever it is that you desire to do. A lot of people are like, I just want to quit. No, don't quit without a plan. But the one thing I will say to people is explore. There's nothing wrong with exploring. It's definitely beneficial to kind of figure out, what do you like, what don't you like, how active do you really want to pursue this? Is it just a hobby that I just love to do and don't want to create an Etsy page for the t-shirts that I create? Figure that stuff out before you continue to invest more money into something that may not be as lucrative as you thought, or you may not be as passionate as you thought, because sometimes people take a hobby and now turn it into a business and then love the fact that it's a hobby because now it's a business. So using discernment and kind of figuring out when, how, what, but definitely dibble dabble in it. That's what I did. When I was working full time, I created the LLC. I started working it on the side, or in addition to my full time job, just so I can get my feet wet. And I loved it. It came to the point to where I was at work, writing on little pieces of sticky paper, different ideas and concepts for my clients that I was going to meet later on that night. So, years of doing that, about 2 years actually of doing that. Then I started my business in 2017. 2019 is when I left. So I would come home with a purse full of little pieces of paper and had to put them together, literally, and say, okay, this is for this client, this is for this client. Because what happened is that as I was actively pursuing my passion, the love for it really started to shift. And I hated going to my job. Realistically, I would go and pull up, and my I would have tension all on my shoulders. I'd do my makeup in the car. I'd walk in late, walk right past my boss. He's seeing me late, not saying a word. It was just like I understood that I was just a woman in the seat. And so I said, I gotta create an exit plan. So just start. And if you're scared, have somebody to keep you accountable. My boo, he might catch this. He was the one who really helped me to launch out and do some things that I was afraid of, because I'm a perfectionist, believe it or not. Like, okay, I want the lights, I want the logo, I want this, I want that, da, da, da. He was like, sweetheart, just start. And so sometimes we have to get outside of our own head. And I think I put something on my Instagram page, tweak and then leap later. But I'm leap now and tweak later, sorry. So, or I said leap as you tweak, something I said. But, make sure that you out here doing what it is that you don't, just go ahead and do it. Someone's saying do it afraid. Absolutely. I just say do it with love and hope, because somebody needs you. And I think that's the other thing, is understanding that people need us. We're needed in the earth. If we weren't needed in the earth, we would not be here. We would not be here. And so understanding that there's power in what you bring to the table, and learning that you have to have enough belief in yourself. So shifting your circle will help you to leap. And having those people in your head who are like, okay, what are you doing? I see you doing this, but what are you really doing? We need that sometimes, and it's helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. So someone said do it afraid, and start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. I had to end perfectionism, or I would have never started. I would have never done anything. No. Because when I first got out here, I knew how to do nothing at all, because I wasn't even on social media any at all.
No, you weren't. And it's been cool seeing you. Now, what people don't know, we act like we've been knowing each other for 5.75 years, but we met this year. And so yeah. I've seen her grow. She's seen me grow in a matter of months. And so it's just getting out here and doing what it is that you love, but you be like, ooh, I'm scared. You think anybody gonna like it? But just go. And I'll say this, because this is what God's been dealing with me with, and I'll be very transparent. One of the things that God's been teaching me here lately is understand the difference between the world system and the kingdom system. Even when it comes to entrepreneurship. And it's been blowing my mind, because one of the things that I've been learning is that, when it comes to money and flow, the world system says it's one way, but the kingdom system says it's another way. And so he's constantly reminding me that we live in the world, but we're not of the world. So the kingdom principles outweigh what we see in the world. And so really tapping into biblical principles while building the business. And my boo is really good at reminding me, working a job and getting paid once a week, bi-monthly, bi-weekly, whatever that looks like, that's the world system. Biblically, you were paid out your wages daily. That's biblical principle. So what does that sound like to you? It sounds a little bit like entrepreneurship.
It does, doesn't it? It does. But it takes time to get there, though, and I think that's where people get messed up. It takes time to, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, it caught me too. It messed me up initially. Coming out here, not knowing the right way to go and not having guidance, not being among the right people and understanding what I'm doing exactly. Because as I said, when I started out, first of all, my Facebook account was there, and I would log on every couple of months, see what was going on. Sometimes I never post anything. I never had an Instagram account. I never had a Twitter account. I had a LinkedIn account for years that I never did anything with. So I came out absolutely clueless. And the first thing I started out was with my YouTube channel. And Toccara, I don't know if you've heard this story before, but the morning when I did my first YouTube video, right? I was lying in bed the night, and I had gone to a Zoom call, and they were talking about YouTube. And as I was lying down there, I was like, you can start here, because becoming a motivational speaker was something I got years before and didn't know where to start with it, right? So I was listening to it, and it says you can start with YouTube. And I wrote a script that night, because by this point I was overflowing with things that I needed to get out of me. So I wrote the script that night, right? And then the next morning I got up with my phone in my hand like this and sitting on my sofa, and that's how I did the video. And the phone was moving from side to side, and I was looking on my script on the paper. There was no editing, there was no intro, there was nothing. The room was dark. The room was dark, and I was sitting up, and I just did the video, right? And then the second one, it got a little better until I started. First, I didn't even comb my hair. My hair was twisted back, and I wasn't wearing makeup or anything. It wasn't looking bad, but it wasn't presentable either. Like, literally, I just got out of bed, I washed my face, put some powder on it. I bathed, I did my morning routine and I did my stuff, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I wasn't prepared, not in terms of presentation. I didn't have a stand like I do now and a light and all of that, and that's where I started. That is where I started, Toccara.
Yeah.
So start afraid, start before you're ready, and look where I'm at now. When I look back at all the things that I accomplished just this year by starting afraid, starting unprepared, starting without any perfection, without having everything that I have, it was just time to start. And that's how I started.
Yeah.
That is how I started. And not to mention that my phone was partially not 100%. My phone was not 100%. Everything was a struggle to start.
That's
but
good.
I started.
Yeah.
So, looking back at the year, it's been amazing. And I've met some amazing people like you. And it's just been, it's been a wonderful year. But you have to start somewhere. So don't let not having all that you need stop you from stepping into your purpose.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that.
No.
But my next question for you, Miss Nicole, is this one. And so, since I've known you, I know you're a woman of God, right? What I want to find out from you is, at what point did you tap into that relationship or get into that alignment with God, and what caused that? Was it something since childhood? Where were you at when that happened? How did that happen? Because a lot of people are not there. How did that happen?
Wow. So my mom took me to church when she could, being a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my mom working, like 2 jobs at a time, tops. And I grew up with my grandparents. My grandparents didn't take me to church, but my mom was the one, right? And we would go on holidays. We'd try to, create a routine, but, it just wasn't there. So fast forward to me becoming a teenager at the age of 15. A friend of mine would always drag me to church. And she's like, come on, we're going to church. And I'd be like, okay, fine. That's where I was at. I'm like, whatever. And so, we would go to church. And she's like, okay, we're coming this week. Go make sure you go home and do your homework. I'm like,
your sound was gone. Not hearing you. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, somebody was calling. It became a every Wednesday, every Sunday thing as a teenager. And then I messed around and got filled with the Holy Ghost. And my life has just been different since then. And so the whole understanding of coming into the things of God started when I was a teenager. And I remember a bad breakup and giving up on God for a season. And I had one friend, and if he catches this, his name is Jerome Johnson, who I met in college. And kind of like the young lady who was a friend of mine when I was in high school. Her name is Alicia Davis. If she catches this, I don't mind name dropping when people have been a blessing to my life, okay? Jerome Johnson would ask me all the time, sis, come to church, come to church, come to church, come to church. And it was more like me starting doing this. Like, I was just so in a broken place, I didn't want church. And whatever church he was at, I'd come to. And then I ended up joining, getting active in ministry. And then, so it led to me being a part of a church for 8 years and learning my gift for administration, learning who I was, learning, that I love to serve, learning all these things, learning my gifts within the kingdom. And so it just continued to mature and mature and mature. And I'm thankful for knowing God and having a true relationship with Him, because I don't move until I hear. I'm not one of those, it has to be confirmation in my soul. It has to be something that I know, yes, this is of God. This is what He showed me. This is a prophecy coming to, I have to move like that. And so my foundation has always been rooted in God, but I didn't stand on it until I was a teenager. Because here's what people didn't know. I didn't know for a long time. My dad's side of the family, apostles, bishops, prophets, teachers, the whole fivefold ministry rests on my dad's side. So as I'm starting to learn the things of God, I'm like, oh, this is why I love this. And this is why I love that, because it's part of my DNA to really be in the place of, in the things of God. Now, He operates differently with each one of us, but you got to know who you are to understand your gifting and calling. And mine is not inside of the 4 walls. My gift is outside of the 4 walls, helping people build with kingdom principles and discernment within the marketplace. That's my gift set. And that's why I said you got to know who you are, because when people say, oh, you're called, oh, you're called. It might not be you being called to be a pastor or a minister. Your gift can be different. And so, I know my gift. And I want to run from it some days, and other days I want to embrace it tighter and tighter. It just depends. But I always get to the fact of, okay, God, I will be obedient. My boo calls me, he's like, "You so obedient, you obedient Nancy," or whatever name he got for me. But he just talks about how obedient I am to the things of God. And so, and he's helped me so much to understand who I am, and that's how I who they are, because of knowing that relationship with me and him is stronger than anything I got.
So yeah, I get that 100%. That listening and moving when you hear. Something that I like to say is spirit is always speaking, but you need to get quiet so that you can listen, right?
Absolutely.
So you've been doing this since you've been a teenager, and you've been obedient. So how does one even begin to do that, right?
Woo-wee!
Because people have different versions of what God is. People say universe, people say God, people say Jehovah. For me, I think it's the same thing. There's one universal force that is the ultimate God, right?
Absolutely.
How do you begin to listen to that? How do you tune into that?
Do you work out?
I do.
Okay. So one of my
I ran 6K yesterday, by the way.
Listen. So you ever go into the gym and you start working on a muscle, and sometimes you don't see the results of that labor until later on?
Yeah.
But you still show up and you're gonna work the machine to get those results. Yeah, that's how listening to God is for me. That's my easiest way of explaining it. Really exercising the muscle to listen, and then understanding when to release. If he calls you to share what it is that you're listening to, what you're being in tune to listen for. It took me a minute because I was super scared that I heard him. Because everybody makes it seem like God's voice is, "Hello, daughter. How are you today? I am God." No, that's not it. He don't come like that.
Yeah.
Everybody makes it seem like that's how God's voice is. That is not it. Sorry. But you have to be able to hear him for yourself and to know, okay, this is not me. You know you. So when you get those unctions, you're like, that's not me. And then I was like, okay, that must be God. And I leap out and, okay, got these results. Okay, that works once. Okay. And so, kind of like, okay, I'm starting to see the bulge in the arm now. Okay, I'm starting to see it. That's what it's like. We're just using that muscle. That is not how you hear him, Caige.
She says that's how she hears it.
Listen, while I'm teasing her while she coming, that's what she gets. Y'all meet the CEO of InfluencHER Magainze. Make sure you follow her. My business bestie, life send business partner by the Most High, and one of my best girlfriends that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world, y'all. You gotta get those people around you that move like you move, talk like you talk, can check you in love and be supportive. And that's Caige Phoenix, the one and only. So now that's how God talks to you, Caige. Listen, that ain't how he talking to me over her, okay? But literally, I had to continue to go back, listen, and share or act. And so when I kept doing that and getting the results, kind of like you going to the gym and working these arm muscles, you getting results. You're like, okay, yes, I see the bulge in the arm. Come on. So same thing, you start seeing these results. Okay, I'm listening to God. Okay, this is happening. This is manifesting. This is making sense. So it's practice. It don't come overnight. It's kind of like that whole leaping out in faith and saying, okay, God, I believe that I'm hearing you. Lord, send confirmation for me to understand that I am in tune with what it is that you are having me to do in this season, in this time, in this moment. And he'll confirm it. He's so gentle, y'all. That's what I love about God. He's so gentle, man. It ain't gonna be like boom, like the V8 pop. He gonna really be gentle with you until you get what it is that he needs for you to understand, as you are activating your faith and saying, Lord, I really want more of you. I want to be able to hear you more clearly. Help your child. When you go to him like that, he's like, okay, daughter, well, you are coming to me. You're petitioning my help. You're petitioning my guidance. You're petitioning my wisdom. Of course I'm not gonna leave you out here hanging in these streets. So that's what my experience has been like, and it's been life-changing, because there's times where I didn't listen to God, and I'd be like, ooh, I could feel when I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't have crossed over that line right there. I shouldn't have gone that way. But he always has a way. He's such a gentleman in the way that he deals with us, and he loves us so much that he'll be like, okay, I'm gonna let you knock your head this time, but when you're ready to get it right, I'm gonna be listening, and I'm gonna be here with open arms to guide you on the path that I need you to really be on. And that takes discipline to be able to hear and see. I gotta find it, but when I find it, I will share it with you. One of the things that helped me to really tap into understanding how to hear God was a Joyce Meyer CD set that she made about listening to God. And I was such in a desperate place of wanting to hear. I would play that thing over and over and over and over and over and over until I understood how to gain that seat where God is listening to me. He's always listening. But when you say, oh God, I hit this time. I hit bullseye with this one because I was actually listening, and I leaped on faith to get your guidance and wisdom. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But something you said made me want to share something, right? So for a long while, I felt like some part of me had some spiritual something to do, right? And my idea of what spirituality was a pastor on stage, or a male or female in a long gown screaming at the top of his voice. And I'm sitting there looking like, but that's not me,
Yeah.
That's not who I am.
Yeah.
That's not me at all. I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to be myself, dress how I want to dress and be who I want to be. So I was thinking, but that's not me. But then I was always going back somewhere. It's like sometimes it's a dream or a vision, or I would literally see myself as a spiritual person. But then my perception of what a spiritual person was kept me away from it and made me afraid of stepping into that. And then, sometimes when God is speaking and you don't listen, He will give you a kick, and get you looking in the right direction.
Yeah.
But the perception, we have to change our perceptions, because now I'm able to step into my spirituality, because spirituality doesn't look like what it looks like for you, right? It's a completely different thing. And I think for me, I misunderstood. I didn't understand that I could be a spiritual person who was not on stage with a microphone screaming, right? In church and doing that. And I don't have anything against church. I go to church and all of that stuff. But I couldn't see myself as that person.
Right.
And that made me afraid of being a spiritual person. And something I must say, we're all spiritual beings. That's who we are. We're all spiritual beings, but we have different things that we're supposed to do, different missions that we're supposed to be on. And my mission was supposed to involve a spiritual aspect. But I couldn't see myself on stage. My perception of what, and I love the word perception, because how we see things defines so much of what we do. right? And that's why
Yes.
it's important for us to look at things differently and look at things in different directions and see different perspectives, because a lot of times our perception is flawed,
Yeah, yeah. Listen,
completely flawed.
that's a whole conversation of really debunking the myths of what spirituality looks like, because it's nowhere near what God wants it to be. And that's that whole understanding the difference between the world system and the kingdom system. And when I say he's been on me, like, no, this is this is that, I'm learning so much even more of how to tap into the gift even more, because I can say, no, that's not it anymore. No, no. Yeah, I sat underneath this church and I learned this, but that was wrong. That doctrine was wrong. No, this is what God is really saying. And to be confident in that thing and really be like, okay, I'm good now. Let me do this. And so, understanding who you are in Him is so key. And I have to
Yeah,
understand that my gift don't look like what people think it should look like, and that's okay. Like,
yep,
don't put all those expectations on me, and God ain't put them on me. I'm gonna need you to go sit somewhere. Go. Maybe those are expectations you're supposed to be put on yourself, but you put them on
yeah,
me. No, no, no. We're not gonna do that. And you know what? One thing that I've said, um, I said to myself that I'm learning the power of expectations and how to put more expectations on myself and not to lean towards what people want me to do. And that right there is how you really embrace your identity. When you can say, yeah, that's good, but that might not be good for me.
ooh,
That's not it. Because I am this, 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 this,
uh-huh,
this, this, and this, and this, and that don't fit with this.
yep,
Okay? That don't fit with that. Yeah, authority abusers. It's real, Caige. And what I'm learning is I got the power to own my authority. And what I'm learning is the power of decisions. Man, I can go on and on, but I'm going to be talking about a lot of this stuff in my book that I got coming out. Just understanding your role in the earth, because it's something I wrestled with for a long time. And I'll be 40 next month, so I'm like, you know what? Let's drop volume 1 of the memoir next year. Let's go ahead and do it. And that's where I'm at, just really sharing some of my life experiences with other people so they can too be in this thing called living on purpose every day, and understanding that people's
dope,
expectations ain't a part of your blueprint, boo. And that's okay.
yeah. That's magic right there when you can say, okay, this is for me and that's not for me. And it applies to with the marketplace. There are so many things. It's so busy out there, and someone is inviting you to that and inviting you to that and inviting you to that, and you have a little bit of time. You have limited time, so you have to say, okay, is this for me or is this not for me? Should I go here or should I? You have to make better choices, and you have to choose
Yeah.
you and choose your purpose and choose your mission every single day. So,
Listen, I don't care who don't like it, because I had to have a conversation with the one who birthed me. And I said, I hear you. I respect who you are as my mother. And guess what? I don't agree with that. But it doesn't matter, because I still respect you. But that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And she's like,
yeah,
how do you take that? How do you
it's a
take that?
hard conversation.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times we stifle our own growth because of influential people, parents, aunties, grandmas, granddaddies, what they're telling us based on what they experience. Well, baby boo, God broke me out to save our generation. So there's some things I can't operate in according to what you're saying. I respect
Yeah,
what you said, and I respect what you've gone through, and I respect what you see. But these size 9s over here, these shoes were made for walking, and they made for breaking these generational curses that y'all still living under over there.
woo, I have to clap. I have to clap. That you're on point. You're so on point. You're so on point. I say it all the time. Other people cannot see your vision because it's not theirs. So you have to stay true to what is yours. Man, this conversation is going so amazing, but we're almost 1 hour. There are so many people I've had on here that I definitely have to have them again a second time at some point in time. So, but this has been truly, truly amazing. So I have a few more questions to ask you so we can wrap up, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you do every day to ensure that you're always listening to God and you're operating on purpose? How do you maintain that?
Woo-wee. I sit still a lot.
Love that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I sit still and I'm learning because sometimes I just be like, okay, there's times where I don't say a word. I just sit still. I don't say, God, I need you, or or pray, whatever. I just sit still and take some deep breaths and listen. I talk to myself a whole lot, and I answer myself too, and that don't make me crazy.
No,
that don't make me crazy. We were told that if you talk to yourself and answer yourself, you got a problem. No, I'm doing some of this deep digging up through here, baby. Like, no, that don't feel right. Because it's not right, and this is why it's not. So that's what I do a lot. I be walking around here talking to myself in my car when I'm driving. There's times where I can take a road trip and not turn on the radio for hours just because I want to be in the still present and just listen. We don't do enough of that. We don't want to sit still. We want to be on the go. We want the microwave answers. And no, we don't. Breakthrough is not like you put your popcorn in and in 2 minutes and 25 seconds later you get your answer. It don't happen like that. Sometimes you got to sit still. And it's okay to sit still. Give yourself permission.
Quiet time.
Yeah, give yourself permission to get what you need. And you got to figure out what that looks like, because maybe your thing isn't sitting still, but that's one of my things. I will be like, okay, hold on. Let me just get a minute and just regroup. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. That's a favorite of mine too. So I love that one. I'm in that learning process of learning to listen. This show came out of listening, just being quiet and listening. So I'm learning to do that as well. So it's really good. That quiet time is amazing. It's priceless. Yeah. There's nothing that you can use to replace that. Woo. Do you have any daily affirmations things that you say on a daily basis to help you maintain that mindset that is necessary to be you?
If I showed you my office right now, I sit in here and there's words all around my office. Literally, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but I will show you how crazy I am. Hold on. Words all over the place.
Yeah.
I have to do that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask, is there something I tell myself? This is where I sit and my computer's right in front of me. So I see words all day long. And I'm very intentional with that because there's times where I sit by myself and sit with myself and I need those words to reaffirm me. But one of the things that I have in my bedroom, it says I am, and then there's 24 words to describe me. And at the end it says Toccara Nicole. So I wake up to that every day. So I am driven, I am determined, I am this, I am that. And it reminds me of who I am before my feet hit the ground. And we need those things. Yeah, it's on a big sticky sheet of paper. It sits on my wall. And it's it's in different colors. So I'm reminded all the time of who I am. Because sometimes this world doesn't welcome us and embrace us as who we are. So we have to have those reminders.
Yeah, definitely. I love that because I am for the I am, the power of I am for your I am, right? Because guess what? Your affirmations, they're your affirmations, they're your prayers, they're your confirmation, they're your asks, they're everything. They determine everything. And you think in I am, you speak in I am, you do everything in I am. So you have to create that space where your I am are serving you. So I definitely love that, Toccara.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming here today and sharing with us. I know we could continue talking for probably a couple more hours.
You already know, but you hear my voice. I'm like, what's going on? I have been talking a lot lately, but you know what? This is who I've been called to be, and I'm cool with it. When you know your lane, baby, you can ride and cruise, you know?
It's funny because it was last week, after last week's show, I was saying, so Shareka, you've been sitting there, and this was me talking to myself now before I shared it with anyone. You've been sitting there your whole life saying you're an introvert and you're shy, and when all along you enjoy having amazing conversations with people. And I could slap myself in the head. But, you know, we are who we are, and we are where we are. So let's just move forward. But, yeah, I enjoy this too. So it was a real pleasure talking to you today, Toccara, and thank you so much for being here with us. And guys, you can look her up at ToccaraNicole.com. Follow her here on Instagram if you're not already doing so. If you missed the intro, she has written and published 10 books. She's an Amazon bestseller. She is a phenomenal woman doing amazing things. So you go ahead and check her out. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
Do you have any last words, Toccara?
Yeah, I see so many people who jumped on today's live, and I just want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedules to say hi, show love, give hearts, because you don't have to, and you have.
Yeah.
So, you know, that means a lot. So thank you for joining us today. And one thing I just want to leave people with is, you know, some people are like, oh my God, it's the end of the year and I ain't done nothing. Well, guess what? Start now. Go back, watch this, you know, sit down with yourself, have those quiet moments, and just tap in. And I'm sure you'll have a list of things that you probably want to do for 2022. You know, just really tapping in. And there's beauty in tapping into who you are. I'm telling y'all, it's so cool. Hey, Dr. P! When I tell you my peoples are out here, from Liz to Aisha to Caige. Listen, sis, I got some in. I still got your sea moss. I'm going to take a swallow of it as soon as I get done. But yeah, man, when I tell you support is everything on this journey of being who you are, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You get caught up in the whole, man, am I supposed to be doing this? Because the people that you expect to support you are nowhere to be found, or they're misunderstanding your purpose, or they don't know how to support because it's not in alignment with what they think you should be doing. All that craziness. But step out and be you, boo, because there's only one like you. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Woo!
Hey!
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we're here again next week with another wonderful host. Next week we're having I'm having three people on at the same time. We're going to be talking about goal setting. And guys, if you have not yet set your goals for 2022, I'm having a goal setting workshop in 2 weeks. The link is on my link in my bio, so you can check that out, register, and come let's talk about how we can dominate 2022. All right, so if you haven't set your goals yet, sign up for that. Buy my book. It's out there, an introduction to freedom. That will also help you to set up your 2022. So I wish all of you a beautiful new year, which is in 2 days. I hope everyone get off to an amazing start. And if you don't, do it the next day, okay? But keep getting it and keep doing it. And step out, and like Toccara says, do it before you're ready. Just get going. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Again, Toccara, thank you so much for joining
us
today. And this was an amazing conversation.
I loved it.
Yeah. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.